Hello, I'm Debbie Bell-Hosking for Finextra TV at Sibos 2025 in Frankfurt. And I'm joined by Matthieu de Heering, Head of Capital Markets and Business Development at Montran, and also Joseph Lartey. He is the CEO of the Central Securities Depository Ghana Limited. And we're talking about capital markets and the CSD Ghana going live. So welcome both of you to our Sibos studio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's nice to be at Sibos.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And lots to talk about the CSD going live. But first of all, if I can start with you, please, Joseph. What trends are you seeing in the Ghanaian capital markets and also post-trade?
Good. So, CSD Ghana has been in existence for the past 20 years. And the good thing about our market and our CSD is that it handles all asset classes, from government securities, from the open market operation instruments, from the central bank, corporate bonds, and all that. We've seen a lot of appetite for new products. We've seen a lot of shift towards fintechs and all that. And our new implementation is future-proof to answer all these questions in terms of what are the asset classes that are coming onto the market, like securities lending and borrowing, fully implementing repo, the classic repo, responding fully to the GIMRA repo. So, yeah, we're in a good place.
It's lovely to hear the Ghanaian point of view, which is not something we hear regularly, particularly at Sibos. So that's a great thing to hear. I'm going to cross over to you, if I may now, Matthieu, and can I ask you for more of a sort of a global view of what you're seeing in terms of capital markets and post-trade?
Gladly. So Montran operates on the capital market side in around 60 central securities depository across the world. We have a very big franchise in Africa, around 20 markets work with us, as well as trading system and custody. And so we do have a view on what's happening in the African continent and a global view. If I start with the African continent, one thing we're seeing is a contraction of settlement cycles. So as Europe moves from T+2 to T+1, and America has already done that, we're seeing that happening across the African continent, moving from T+3 to T+2, eventually to T+0 end of day. That's one first trend we're seeing. A second, and exactly as you were saying, is that new asset classes are coming on board, and the idea is always to make sure that there's more liquidity in the market and more transactions in the market. That is useful for the growth of the economies, because capital markets allow investment into infrastructure, which then has a multiplying effect on the macroeconomy. And so certainly that trend is something that we see, that capital rotation and the acceleration of its usage is something that has to be underpinned by solid, and I like the word you used, future-proof technology. Globally, we're really seeing the same trends, and I would add interoperability and interconnectivity between markets with various models, whether it's investor CSD, direct CSD links, there are many others.
So just to add to that, so the conversation about shrinking the settlement cycle in Ghana, we do already T+0. So the conversation is more about up to T+2 or up to T+3.
Yeah.
So then you have a choice. If you want to settle securities same day, you have the opportunity to do that. Our integration with the RTGS system, which was also supplied by Montran at the central bank, makes this process seamless. We've brought in intraday liquidity facility where we are dealing with the cash settlement risks, okay? And then we talked about also the fintechs, right? So Ghana has a certain peculiar, unique financial environment where your mobile phone number is basically your cash account. And we've seen in the fintech space, within the payment ecosystem, what fintechs have done.
Absolutely.
And that is why it's important for us at the CSD for financial inclusion to bring in fintechs through APIs and all that. So these are conversations, they are very much front and center for us. And these are things that we're going to see much more next year. Then the back office integrations that you talked about. So there is, as part of our implementation, what we call the Montran gateway, where it enables STP, straight-through processing, to integrate with the back office of institutions. Typical example, the central bank processes large volumes of trades. And these trades are done from their back office. It flows straight into the CSD. Indeed, we have fully implemented ISO 20022. And so everything that you do is basically a SWIFT message. And so you can do these things not even directly on our interface, but through the SWIFT interfaces. And it gets through our system for the post-trade activities.
So we're talking here about the things that are happening now, financial inclusion as well on top of that. So what is your, let's go in more Ghana specific once again from yourself. What's your, let's say, 5-year plan, and how is your cooperation with Montran enabling this?
Good. So I indicated earlier that the solution we've implemented with Montran is future-proof. Yeah. And it was a deliberate plan to do that because we envisage the market is demanding more asset classes. For instance, the central bank last year issued gold as an investment, gold coins as an investment. The CSD has been brought in to receive these gold coins into the depository. We're looking at ESGs and green bonds. The stock exchange has issued the guidelines for ESGs and green bonds. The depository has to be ready to receive that. We're talking of securities lending and borrowing, collateral management. Our new system answers all these questions. Indeed, there was a funny thing that we always said, that our new solution was going to answer all the questions of the market. And so we're looking forward to the next phase. We can't underestimate the impact of, and I can't say that anymore, the fintechs. And we want to democratize the market, grow the retail investor base, so that wherever you sit in our country, you have access to the market. There is also the Capital Market Master Plan that was issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission in Ghana, which has a number of initiatives. The exchanges, the depository, all have a role to play. So one of the big initiatives is the regional integration. So currently we're working on a project where we're integrating to the Nigerian market and to the Francophone market. And thanks to the new system, it's ready for that integration. What we're dealing with currently is the cash settlement leg, but we have the Pan-African payment and settlement system. Yes. I believe they also at
Certainly
Sibos.
As an option, yeah.
Yes, to look at the cash settlement side, or through a regional bank to do the cash settlement. So,
and absolutely, I think in terms of the trends of that democratization of access to the financial market, you're very right. Through mobile operators, we've been hearing about what's happening with M-Pesa for decades now. And the view of so many of the securities regulators, stock exchanges, central banks that we talk to across Africa is that it should be the same thing on the securities side, that even a micro investment, there should not be a user experience hurdle to cross it through the APIs that you were talking about. It should be easy to micro invest, but then that becomes something that's important for the economy on the one hand, and for the retail investor, the household, on the other hand. But then the balance as a CSD, technologically, is to make sure that your back end is able to handle those kind of volumes, the KYC related to it. There are so many aspects to it.
Is this where Montran comes into the corporation?
Of course. And that, we work in partnership. So we work together on understanding what the regulator wants to do, what the CSD wants to do, and then building a plan. That's the way we work across Africa and across the world as a global organization. So you have that, but then a CSD is a peculiar kind of, if I might say, animal that has a very strong focus on reducing risk, on absorbing the potential bad things that could happen on the cash side or the security side of the settlement, to make sure that as an infrastructure, that's almost, I've heard this expression used, it's the invisible hand behind the invisible hands, right? You want to make sure that when a trade is done, when someone invests through their phone, they don't need to worry about what is the ISO 20022 message, how do the securities go from a nominee account to an individual account. That's not important. What's important is that it works and I trust it, right? And that's how we work together, and we elaborate our 5-year response to the national and I would say Pan-African 5-year plans around financial inclusion and new instruments.
So I'll tell you what. So one of the recent big IPOs was MTN. MTN is a mobile operator, and most of that IPO was done through mobile money. We call it mobile money. So people having cash on their mobile wallets and they're using it to buy these IPOs. And part of the integration we did, so we did end-to-end integration from the exchange, from Bloomberg, the e-bond trading system, flowing to the depository, to RTGS for settlement, and also for corporate actions, the integration with the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System. Now, at the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System, that's GIPS, it doesn't matter if your account number is a mobile money wallet or is a bank account. And we push these dividends through these. So we've done all that, and then where you provide comfort to the market and trust, because trust is big, right? And so the depository has adopted ISO 22301 for business continuity. We are also ISO 27001 certified for information and cybersecurity. We've embarked on a project that will go live to complete at the end of the year, which is to do with creating a security operations center. Because as you innovate and you integrate, you need to protect your systems. So the SOC, or the Security Operations Center, is going to help us do that, to monitor in real time what is happening within our periphery. And then also there is a FICSOC. FICSOC is Financial Industry Command Security Operations Center that has been established by the central bank 2 years ago. The central bank has accepted our request to connect to their FICSOC. It's for intelligence sharing. Cyber, and at Sibos, you've heard a lot about cybersecurity, bringing in AI and those intelligence tools to protect the assets that we hold within the depository. And also the issue about risk. So risk is big, whether information security risk, operational risk and all that. That's what we deal with. And we're happy that we are in that space and we do it very well.
That's good to hear. And let's look ahead just briefly, because we're talking about, my goodness, all the different levels and layers that go into giving the customer that comfort and that knowledge of security that you're talking about. In the medium term, and I think I'll come to you first, and then we'll go to Joseph. What are the technologies and the asset classes that you are envisaging in the medium term, not even the long term? I think things are moving so quickly in the medium term.
I will surprise no one with the alphabet letters soup that I'll be using. So AI, and I would say in two ways. Firstly is to accelerate our application development and to make the user experience for employees, for wholesale participants and retail participants, to make that as smooth as possible, to anticipate the kind of questions they'd like to have answered before they even ask them, right? So that's AI. Secondly, and that's probably a little bit more medium term, is to bring AI into the core, into the settlement, into the cash leg, to optimize the queues and so on. As volumes go up, you're going to need to work in all of the possible ways to make sure that you're performing those functions right. And secondly, it's the asset classes. So just to stop a little bit on ESG, we're seeing that a lot of foreign investment and even foreign recommendations in which long positions are used for collateral management take into account the ESG friendliness of a particular issue to sort of bump it up in the list of what should be used in securities lending and borrowing. So making sure that you have the right data and the right standards in order to perform that STP and not manually, avoiding those operational risks is important. And really quickly, obviously, as assets become tokenized, as the cash leg, and we've heard a lot about this here at Sibos, also becomes tokenized or digitalized, certainly making sure that your solution is future-proof to allow for that to be a non-event, because once again, for the end investor, it doesn't matter. Seeking liquidity, seeking return. Tokenized or not is a secondary consideration.
It's so interesting to hear you talk. And Joseph, what's your reaction?
So great. I mean, so we've responded a lot to these. So let's talk AI, right?
Yes.
So last year in Sibos, there was the conversation about AI coming into the space for robo-advisory services. Mm-hmm. We responded. I mean, AI, if you do not embrace AI as an institution, Gartner says that you will be dead within the next 5 years. And so we've recruited some data engineers last year who are helping us build the foundation towards AI. Because data, I mean, there's also a trust issue with AI. If your data is wrong, then the trust issue is gone. So we're very much into data science, AI, artificial intelligence, and all the robo-advisory services. We've started building the foundation for that. We're also looking at, I mean, we've said our system is future-proof to handle ESGs and all the other asset classes that are coming up. DLT, tokenization. These are conversations that we are going to have with Montran in the coming years to see how to start these. Because, for instance, when I mentioned the gold coin, right, yes, the gold coin investment, the thinking is to create it as a tokenized asset or a digital asset. So you can fractionalize it, exactly. So you can do the fractional ownership and trading of these assets. So we're working on all those things. Yeah.
Goodness, do you know there's so much to absorb listening to you both, Joseph and Matthieu. I was thinking that, gosh, I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
But I can't thank you enough for coming here and sharing your insights, particularly from Ghana, and Matthieu also on a global aspect. But wow, what an interesting conversation. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure having us here. Thank you.